I'd like to start out with you reading part of an article using slow rate, and I'll give you an example of how I want you to do it. Baseball is supposed to be America's national pastime.
Why do fireflies light up? Fireflies are lightning bugs.
I'm going to stop you there. That's still a little too fast. I want you to slow your rate down just a little bit.
Okay. Fireflies or lightning bugs are beetles that are able...
Stop there. Still, I need you to slow down just more. It's still a little fast. So try cutting that down to about half the rate, about the rate that I'm speaking at right now.
Okay. Fireflies or lightning bugs
Very good.
are beetles that are able to produce light chemically.
How does the slow rate feel to you?
It feels a little unnatural, I think, but it's not impossible to do. It's kind of hard to maintain, I think.
Mm-hmm. But you're noticing it is helping your fluency while reading.
Yeah, I do.
Good. The next thing I'd like to try with you is having a conversation between you and I, and during conversation, I want you to use your exaggerated slow speech. Okay? Or your slow rate. Did you do anything for the Super Bowl game?
Yes, I went out with some of my friends, and I had some old friends come back to Pittsburgh to visit and to be here for the game.
Good. Very good slow rate there. Keep that up. Where did you say you watched the game?
We went to a bar near my house in Greenfield, and then we caught up with some of my other friends in the South Side later.
Good. So from your point of view, what exactly can a speech pathologist do to help you with the technique of slow rate?
First and foremost, I think they need to speak slowly. I find that my speech is pretty heavily influenced by the person that I'm talking to, and so I tend to have a harder time controlling my rate if I'm talking to a very fast talker.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I think not maybe just telling me that I'm speaking quickly, but seeing if there's anything that I can pick up later as a signal to myself that I'm speaking quickly, like maybe any secondary behaviors or anything that I can monitor on my own that helps me
that they
be
notice
aware
about
of the rate.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like you to explain to me what your perception is of how slow rate affects your speech.
Physically, it just kind of makes me breathe more, or breathe with a little more control. When I'm speaking at a very fast rate, I can feel myself getting out of breath, like in my stomach and in my chest. And I think that my blocks are a little less severe with slow rate than they are without it. And then I just think it feels different too. I have a very frantic perception of time when I'm speaking, and so it feels very unnatural to speak this slowly. Generally, I think it's hard to be consistent with slow speech, especially because as I get more fluent, I am less likely to pay attention and continue to self-monitor. And then there are a lot of just basic social situations that result in a natural increase in speed. And I think they can be problematic. A lot of times, a subtle increase in speed gets very contagious, and then I start speaking more and more quickly. I think that slow rate is really difficult to maintain, and I try to get my friends involved or any other means that I can use to monitor it and to maintain it, because any other environmental influence, background noise, time constraint, whatever the setting, there are a lot more reasons to speed up than there are to slow down. And it's kind of funny. I think the great paradox of slow speech is that the slower that I speak, the more quickly I'm actually able to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But it just is really hard to do it consistently.
Okay. So just to sum up what we covered today about the effects of speaking slow. Number 1, it increases your fluency. Number 2, you have more time to think about what you want to say, how to get it out effectively. And number 3, the third thing, is it actually leaves a very strong impression on the person you're talking to because you seem very calm and collected. The target of slow rate has seemed to help you pull together all your other targets and increase your fluency. And I also hope that gathering slow rate and the idea of how to incorporate it into your speech will help carry over from the clinic and you can use it in your everyday life.
So let's pull a couple final thoughts together about slow rate. The most effective fluency enhancing technique you can use. Easy to do, hard to maintain. Amongst the things that we want to remember in working with clients is this is not just an activity, but it's a lifestyle, a different speaking style that promotes the client's responsibility for being fluent and taking the responsibility to implement targets and techniques. This is a hard technique. It's not a hard technique to use in a structured activity, but it's difficult to use when you're more anxious, which is usually outside of the clinic, or in more stressful speaking situations. Try yourself to spend the next hour going out and speaking at about half the rate that you're used to. My bet is you'll be able to do it for 2 or 3 minutes, but then it'll leave your head and you go right back to your habitual rate. Slow rate is often what I call a keystone target. When a person is speaking slowly, they have more flexibility and sense and are more cognitive of what's happening with their speech. So by slowing down, use of other techniques such as gentle onset and airflow technique seem to fall into place much easier when you're using slow rate. A little bit like the example with building the block tower. Everything seems to go better using the rate that your system was designed for. I hope that you'll be able to use slow rate effectively with your clients. Remember, modeling is the key to their understanding of what you want, how quickly you'd like them to talk.